Hey friends, welcome back to the Castro Valley News live show. We are here at episode 23, and it is good to be back. For everyone who's listening, welcome back. Thank you for checking us out um, on this new endeavor that we are doing here. Technically, it's not really new because we're 23 episodes in, so um, let's kick off the show and let's get some housekeeping done. This episode is brought to you by Habitat for Humanity Restore in Oakland, and the folks at Habitat for Humanity Restore would like you to know that they're wondering if you are ready to get rid of your old mattress because you can recycle it at the Habitat for Humanity Restore in Oakland. And I'm not sure if you knew this, but this is actually really cool. Every mattress dropped off receives $3 cash or $5 in store credit. Your mattress gets recycled with Bye Bye Mattress, and the materials get turned into hundreds of new products. In return, you can use your cash or in store credit towards any number of household items and support Habitat's mission to build affordable housing in the Bay Area. Limits do apply. Visit bayarearestores.org for full details. And we will share that link in the comments for you to check out Restores. They're kind of like a secondhand store, a thrift store. They've got a lot of cool stuff at that store. And also, if you bring in your used mattress, you get $3 cash or $5 in store credit. And that would definitely feel better than what happens to some of the mattresses in the unincorporated areas. We see them side of the road, illegally dumped here and there. And if you're curious to know where the Restore is located, they are at 9235 San Leandro Street, Oakland, California. You can give them a ring during their business hours, which are Tuesday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., or Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that phone number is 510-777-1447. And that again is the Restore in Oakland, 510-777-1447. And it's a very beneficial deal for everyone. You get $3 cash or $5 in-store credit for your used mattresses. And again, visit bayarearestores.org for full details. And with that kind of out of the way, let's see if you guys have anything on your mind. We do have a guest coming in on the line at 7:15, and it's going to be Superintendent Ahmadi with the school district, and we're in week 2 of school for Castro Valley and all of the adjoining districts, and it's looking like it doesn't look like most of the schools have started doing virtual learning. And like I said, we will have Superintendent Ahmadi on the line coming up at 7:15. A lot of people are wondering when the Dollar Tree store is opening, and they are opening on the 27th. If you happen to be in the neighborhood, give a peek inside. Their workers are extremely busy putting all of they've actually got Halloween items up already, I saw this morning. But they are abuzz inside getting that store ready to open. And I should have made a note of it. I think it's the 28th. If you guys just bear with me 1 second while I access my email, I will let you know when the Ono Hawaiian place is opening. They sent me a message letting me know, and I apologize. I really should have had this prepared. But feel free to let me know in the comments what you guys think about the Dollar Tree store that's opening. Personally, I know we've gone over this a couple times. I'm personally pretty excited about it. Um, the dollar store really has, gosh, this is gonna sound like a commercial now. Sorry, I don't. The dollar store's got a lot of good stuff for a dollar. They have some items that I think are uh, some things are like $2, $3, but the dollar store's got cleaning supply. And again, oh man, I'm doing it. I'm making it sound like a commercial. Dollar Tree is opening the 27th. And let's see here. Friday, August 28th, the Ono Hawaiian Barbecue Place. That is August 28th. I want to say it again because numbers are Greek to me and I'll probably forget. I don't want to give you guys the wrong date. But August 28th, Ono Hawaiian. They are located kind of catty corner to where Lucky's is. They're located where, oh man, I'm going to date myself here. It was where I think it was Blockbuster. No, Hollywood Video was located at. And they're next to Ramen 101. And at the very end is a new dental place. But Ono Hawaiian will be opening on August 28th. And let's see, as you can imagine, they are going to have limited service because of the shelter in place. They will be open for takeout service only. They will continue to practice regulated safety precautions while taking orders and preparing food. And oh wow, this location will be Ono Hawaiian's 95th location overall, with 10 new locations set to open across California and Arizona this year. And the address is 20923 Redwood Road, Suite A. And again, Ono Hawaiian for the Hawaiian barbecue fans. I'm a vegetarian. I've never tried this place, but I've heard a lot of people give them a lot of good reviews. Again, they are going to be opening this Friday, and they'll be doing takeout only. And I know I mentioned this every episode. It feels so good to see so many people in our town supporting the restaurants that are doing outside dining. JP's is just busy. So many times I happen to pass by, JP's is packed on the outside. They're good people, local folks. Doug's is doing it too. They are busy. This makes me feel so good because the owner is such a nice person. Wen's Cafe, Philip over at Wen's Cafe, and his family. It's a family-owned business. They are busy. Let me think. Of course, many of the restaurants are doing takeout, so please give them a chance for your business. I saw Del Cafe has some outdoor dining going on too. Bob is mentioning in regards to schools, one good thing about distance learning, you can't cancel school due to air quality. That's correct. We probably would have seen that if it weren't for COVID. And I know it was the last big fire, the Camp Fire. There was there were a couple days within the school district that were canceled due to the air quality. And of course, we had a bunch of events. in town that were canceled due to the air quality. Unfortunately, I remember there was a lot of uh, attention and thought in regard to the light parade last year that was canceled due to the horrible air quality. And we probably would have seen a number of local events canceled because of the air quality this year. This past Saturday was supposed to be cruise night, and we would have probably canceled because the air quality was poor on Saturday. It's kind of interesting and odd that, like today, for example, started out the air quality was okay, and then it got really bad, and now it's okay again. So I mean, um, I guess it has to do with the marine layer and the when the winds shift and microclimates, perhaps. I want to take a moment here to salute and tip my cap to firefighters everywhere, for that matter, but specifically our firefighters here in California who are working tirelessly trying to knock down these fires. And it it's to me it's disgusting to hear that some of these firefighters are having their cars broken into and their items stolen. I believe another female firefighter had her truck broken into, and there was something like thousands of dollars of her camping gear and her other gear was stolen. This I can't imagine who would do this to a firefighter. I'm sure they're not being targeted. I would hope that they aren't, but it's I heard one of the talk show hosts on KGO today. He said it really well. It's just repugnant that someone would do this to a firefighter, to anyone for that matter. But with that out of the way, again, the all our first responders are heroes, but especially during this time when they've got such an uphill battle fighting these huge fires. I want to personally salute them all and thank them for all their tireless hours working on the front lines and fighting these fires. And also, all of our first responders here in Alameda County, our CHP, it's statewide. I don't want to exclude anyone. Um, we are fortunate here in Castro Valley to have a Castro Valley CHP office that is staffed by some awesome men and women. Alameda County sheriffs here are fantastic. We've done a lot of ride-alongs with them, and uh, Falk, our paramedic first responders are great. Alameda County Fire, just amazing men and women, and we're it's California really is just taking it on the chin with COVID and our businesses hurting and our people hurting and people being laid off, and now with these fires are just it's terrible because I probably like you, I love California, I love living here, my family is here, my job is here, I love this state. It breaks my heart to see our beautiful state hurting so much in so many ways, but we'll get through this, and when we reach the other side, hopefully we'll be prepared for a pandemic and these fires. We are specific, especially here in the Bay Area. We are just so fortunate to be right in the center of beautiful geography, beautiful landmarks, beautiful cities. Um, I'm gonna kind of wind this down because it's 7:15 and we are expecting that phone call from. And there she is. She is prompt. This is Robert. Hello.
Hi, Robert. It's me.
Hey, Parvin. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing
I've been
great.
listening to you.
You're listening to me ramble.
No, I totally agree with you. The last comment you made was just so right on. Yeah. Anyway, I'm ready.
Okay. We are in the second week of school?
Yes.
How are things going?
Actually, so we had 2 days the week before, 5 days last week, and this is our second day. So tomorrow is our 10th day. I would say, considering all of the changes that we have had to put in place and go through, I would say it's going well. And I have nothing but gratitude for our staff, administrators, and parents who have all, this is very different for everyone. So things are going well.
That's great. Let me ask you, can I ask you a quick question? Are you on a cell phone?
Yeah.
Could you call me right back on a landline? Because the audio here is a little bit soft, and you're kind of breaking up. Okay. I apologize.
Okay, I will call back.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for your patience. I want her to be as audible as possible because we've got quite a few questions from some community members, and I want you guys to be able to hear her because I think this information is important, and you guys are important, so you should be able to hear our Superintendent Parvin Ahmadi answer some of the questions that you guys have posted on social media on Facebook. So bear with me here. We are live. These things happen, and I thank you, Superintendent, for being gracious and calling in and calling back. So just bear with us here. Ray Bennett is on the chat saying hello. How you doing, Ray? Hope you're doing well. Megan is asking if this is posted anywhere for folks who are not on Facebook. After it's recorded, we do share a link on our Twitter page, and it's Castro Valley News on Twitter. Here we go. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Robert.
Oh, thank you. That's so much better.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No.
So you were mentioning we're 8 days into the new year. Is that did I hear correct?
Yeah. So tomorrow is our 10th day.
And how are things going?
Like I said, I think I would say they're going well. We're happy to have everyone back. I think everyone's working really hard, and considering all the new things we've had to put in place, and everything is new for teachers, for staff, for students, and I really have nothing but just the utmost gratitude for our staff, our teachers, our administrators, our students and families who all have to kind of learn new skills and just roll with the punches. So.
Yeah, it seems like everyone everywhere has to learn to adapt and kind of live, not even learn how to pivot, but we have to live on a pivot now.
Yeah, exactly.
So the question that I have is, are staff members on site?
So our schools are open. Our offices are open. Some staff are on site. Some are actually working remotely. So our teachers can teach off-site or on-site.
Okay.
It all depends, and it doesn't have to be that that's the way everyone does that every day. There are days where people are working from home or remotely, and other days they might want to come in and teach from their classroom. Same with our paraprofessionals. Our offices are open because we do have a lot of work to do, and folks coming in and asking questions and things like that. So,
is it mostly the classified staff that are on site, or it?
It's right now at the district office. There are many of us there. At school sites, administrators are there, depending on what they are doing. Some of the work has to be done on site. And some can be done off-site, but at this point, it's our office staff, custodians, administrators. As I said, some of our teachers who are teaching from their classrooms and things like that.
Okay. Is it kind of up to the teachers whether they go to the school sites or not, or is there some sort of requirement, or?
Yes. No, it's up to them.
Okay, great. Okay, because I know there were a lot of questions about that, and I know that. Yeah. Without further ado, Amber is asking, why wasn't there any additional support for CVAA? They were scrambling and unable to return calls, and when they did not have much information for parents.
Actually, I would say that there was a lot of support. In fact, we do have additional staff who we have brought on board, and they're working as hard as they can to get everything done. So there may have been times where somebody wasn't able to answer the phone, but we've actually had quite a bit of additional staff there. As needed, just because we, as you know, we have an interim principal there, but we also have additional support. But the interim principal is not on site, but the additional support person is on site, and she's very, very experienced and a retired superintendent, actually.
Okay. Amanda is asking, can elementary schools start at 9 a.m.?
So one of the reasons we had school that the plan that our planning group put together was they wanted to keep it consistent for when students are distance learning and when they actually, at some point, when we are allowed to come back and are ready to come back to the hybrid model. So, and since students always started at 8:10, they felt like 8 o'clock is close to where you would have left home. So that was the reason. And I think there has been so much work that has gone into planning all of these things with every schedule very complicated. That changing hours and times at this point really wouldn't be possible, would be really difficult. So 8 o'clock is when they usually would have started around. So that was the justification for that.
Okay. Matella is asking or saying, we're approaching day 10 and special ed children are still waiting for laptops to be furnished.
So I would disagree that special ed students are waiting. There may be someone who has not had the opportunity to connect with the school, but I can tell you that every single school has been passing out Chromebooks. We have one for every single student, and if there's an issue with an individual or two students, they do need to contact their school and make sure that they connect and get their Chromebook, because I would say, I'm not saying that there isn't anyone who's still waiting, but the Chromebooks have been available. There have been pickup times, makeup time for picking up materials. So if it's not happening for whatever reason, I ask that person definitely contact their principal and make sure that they do get their. They will make sure that they have their Chromebooks.
Gotcha.
I think I know there were a couple of questions around the different programs and things like that. So maybe I can give you a little bit of just a general update on things.
Please, yes.
If you like. So first of all, let me go back to your first question about how it's going. I think really in general, everything is going as well as expected. I think it's really important to note that when you look at the 9,300 students, really all trying to get every teacher and every student connected, I can tell you that this has been happening. The vast majority have had a really good, engaging experience. Our teachers are working extremely hard. Our schools are contacting parents. We do have, so when I asked, like, for to just kind of schools to share some of their challenges, there's just so many really successes in light of everything that's happening. Food and nutrition services is in place, computers are available, materials have been picked up. Students seem engaged. I know they're excited about being back to some normalcy. We're very sad. Obviously, our teachers would love to see their students in their classrooms, and all of us. But, for now, it is really nice to be able to see them online. Some of the challenges we have had, and it's not unique to our district, are technology. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with the device all the time. There are lots of issues with bandwidth at home. I can sympathize with families who might have 2-3 kids. Even the best internet service sometimes doesn't suffice because obviously sometimes mom and dad and somebody else are, everyone's using the internet. So that's been a challenge. Very spotty internet in some places in town. We have given MiFi to students who have asked if they are available. But again, it's not, the bandwidth is probably not as perfect as we all want it to be, even if you have Comcast or AT&T or whatever it might be. One of the new things that we're facing is when you look at your bandwidth and your internet, most of the time people want to have enough bandwidth to be able to download, right? Mm-hmm. But right now, all schools in California, actually nationwide, who are on distance learning are not having to only worry about downloading, but uploading. So, for example, when students want to upload whatever it is that they need to turn in, all of those things take bandwidth, and those are some of the issues that families are sharing with us. I would say, really, it's technology. I know I've heard a couple of things about, a couple of days Zoom was down and different internet services, Safe Share went down. Technology issues that really we have no control over are definitely impacting what we can and cannot do.
Yeah.
And as for the question around special education, it's not easy. It's very difficult for some of our students who have special needs, especially students who in special day class. Online learning, might work much better for some students than others, so we absolutely understand that. And again, it's not a unique issue with our district. I think all of us are struggling with the same thing, trying to do the best we can.
Yeah. You mentioned issues with Zoom, and this, you probably heard about this, and I don't know if it was legitimate or not, but there was someone who claimed that a class in San Leandro was hacked and there was some pornography on it. As you can imagine, it went viral, and there's a lot of people who are concerned about the security with the Zoom here in Castro Valley. Can you speak on that for a moment?
Yes, I think that's, when we started last year, in fact, we weren't as equipped to find all the different techniques to make sure that we put in place some safety measures, because Zoom was also new to school districts, and they have done a lot of work around safety protocols. And we actually, I feel that if we use all the safety protocols for using Zoom, then there are absolutely a lot less chances of anything like that, outsiders actually entering a meeting. For example, I'll give you just a couple of examples, and we're going to continue to review that Zoom conferencing security setting with our staff, just as a reminder. But just a couple of things that we do to secure Zoom is if you have a meeting that's password protected, then, in the user setting, then it always requires password for people to join. Posting meetings in public obviously opens you up to a lot of things, so that's why they send a link to people who need to be on it. Also, there are just a couple of other things, enabling waiting rooms, so that allows people to manage who their guests are. But I have also heard about what you mentioned, in the past as well in various districts. And again, these are some of the challenges that we are having to deal with. But in our district, we actually are platform that we prefer is Google. And there are a lot of safety measures there. Of course, there are advantages and disadvantages with each one when it comes to teaching. So, we try to put in measures that prevent that kind of thing from happening. But again, when we, there are measures that Zoom comes up with and we put in place, but somebody kind of finds a way around these things,
Right.
as it is with all technology. So.
Right.
But our goal is to follow these procedures and make sure that those things do not happen.
Gotcha. A couple different people are asking about things in regards to IEPs. Jessica is saying day 8 of school and every teacher my child has no idea he has an IEP. When will it be addressed? And Heidi basically kind of asked the same question. When will students be assessed for IEPs who were in the middle of assessments in March?
Yeah, so all teachers have access to program information for each student, including eligibility for special ed, including, all of the information in ARIES, the student information system. And case managers for special ed students actually provide general education teachers with IEP information, including but not limited to access to accommodations or any modifications they need. And IEPs, any parent, by the way, can ask for an IEP, and we are continuing to plan IEP and also assess students. We do have to set up for in-person assessment, and we just received those guidelines just a couple of days ago from the county. So we had to wait for that green light and guidance and requirements that we have to meet in order to do in-person assessment for IEPs. But all of those things are available to teachers. They should have that information. And again, if there are cases where this is not happening, I highly encourage families to always reach out to their, the case manager or the principal, and we will make sure that that's responded to.
So it's kind of an instance where the parents should reach out to their teachers and open that dialogue and see when that can begin, correct?
No, IEPs begin the first day students. We provide individualized instruction, and whatever is in a student IEP is adhered to from day one.
Okay.
They don't have to ask. All I'm saying is if there are issues around, let's say there was an accommodation or something is not happening that should be happening, if the parent has a question, that they should absolutely, like any other question parents have or concerns they have, to contact the case manager and the principal, and we'll make sure to respond and make sure that it happens. But IEPs just normally, if you have an IEP, it should continue. But as you know, every year there are annual assessments and then triannuals. All of those things are going to happen as we're required to do. We just had to wait for guidance from the health department about how to actually have in-person assessments.
Wow.
That we now have, but we have to. It takes a little bit of time to put them all in place.
So those,
and that's for assessments, not for people to be served through their IEP. So they're getting services. They should be getting services. They should be taught. I'm just saying, if there is a need for an IEP or additional assessments, those things are happening. Are going to be happening.
Gotcha. A couple questions about the waiver.
Yeah, so Alameda County actually has informed us that they are not going to entertain any waivers. And we had not planned on asking for one anyway, but I think that that there are counties and places where that is happening, but in general, in my conversations at the state level as well, I'm not hearing that they're that they are actually granted. There's a whole process to go through, but we're not even addressed. We have not asked. We have not been interested in getting a waiver at this point, and county has told us that that is not that they're not going to entertain or grant it at this point.
Makes sense. Marilise is asking, when will the district start to value our special education students' education, and what is happening with special education now?
Yeah. So again, I think if you look at any district, if when you look at students with special needs, that is why they qualify for special education, because they have unique needs that need to be met. And obviously, if a student is in general education, but their special education services are through the resource program, that's a lot easier for them to actually have access to, because they just need some help, versus a student who is in a special day class in a mild to moderate or moderate to severe class with very expansive needs that we absolutely want to and will provide. It's obviously very difficult for some students with special needs to sit at the computer and actually be learning online as easily as someone who doesn't have needs like that. So I have to say, our district values all students, including those who are eligible for special ed. And I think it's really important to note, when you look at where we actually have services and where we spend our budget, we spend approximately $20 million yearly to provide support and services for about 1,100 students in special education. And we should be doing that. We absolutely, it is our goal to provide the best possible services for what's required in students' IEP. So there's no question about that at all. And so the greatest challenge we face across the state is this shortage also of individuals working in the field of special education. There are currently, if you really look at statewide, there are currently more open special ed positions in the state, teachers, speech and language pathologists, service providers, than there are individuals currently enrolled in teacher preparation programs. So, and our board is very supportive of all of the things that we put in place, and based on if you look at what we have put in place and the kinds of services we have and how we spend our budget, I think that really should be clear. Now, are we saying everything is perfect right now during distance learning? No, we know that there are areas that we need to improve and do a better job. And frankly, I know that many of our special day class students and families want their children in school. Up to this point, we don't have. At one point, we were hearing that we would be able to bring our students with special day class back in person. At this point, the state and the county are not giving us that direction, or they're not allowing us to do that at this point. Just recently, actually, today, we did receive some information from the state that allows us to consider small learning hubs, not necessarily special day class. So maybe that is the next level of guidance they're going to give us later on. At this point, they're just kind of exploring how you could have childcare, how you could have a group of students who really need to be doing distance learning, not direct instruction or in-person instruction, but distance learning at school in cohorts. Now, we have not, thought about any of that yet. The guidance just came out. And again, we are not able to or allowed to, at this point, to have in-person instruction. But again, I want to just really reiterate, if there are programs in places where families have, with students with special needs have concerns or questions, I encourage you to talk to your principal, to contact the school and make sure that your questions are answered, because we do have a lot that we have had in place. Our teachers in special ed are delivering services to students daily at this point. So if that's not happening for your child, I would definitely call the school, call the principal and the case manager, and make sure that you can ask about that and see if there's anything else. We also have all of our paraprofessionals who are working with students in special ed who actually have that in their IEP. So the reality really is that online learning is not as effective for our moderate to severe students.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Does Castro Valley Unified have a program or a system or what is happening with the special ed students? Are they doing it virtually or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All students are having to do distance learning. As I said,
right.
The state does not allow us to have any in-person instruction at this point, and the county.
Do you have any insight as to, because I personally, I don't know, do you have any insight of what the, I guess the curriculum or what some of the lessons are being given to the special ed students virtually?
Absolutely. Whatever is appropriate for the grade level is being provided. I mean, there's a plethora of things, but they are getting daily instruction based on their IEPs.
Okay.
Again, it's very different when you have an IEP. You may be, let's say, in third grade, and the third grade curriculum is A, but we have to accommodate for that person's need. We have to adjust that curriculum or have a separate curriculum for them that meets their needs best.
Okay. Reopening. Amanda is wondering if you could confirm, once we're off, Alameda County is off the watch list for 14 days, will the reopening process start?
No, actually, once Alameda County is off the watch list, then they tell us after that when they allow school districts to consider opening. After that, the memorandum of understanding we have with our teachers would require that we work on a transition plan to bring students back after that within so many days, within 30 days. So it's not going to happen where if the county says we're off the watch list 14 days, or the state says you're off the watch list, and then the county says it's been 14 days, that we open schools the next day. It is going to be a transition. It's going to be a conversation with our staff to make sure that we are prepared, and with the board to ensure that we have all measures in place. The only thing right now that we are, like I said, that we just got guidance today on, was if we wanted to have small, very small, it's kind of like bubbles of students or small hubs, like technology hubs, but we are not allowed to have in-person instruction at this point yet.
What would those hubs entail, and where would they be located? On school sites?
We don't. You know what? We just got the guidance, so it's going to take us a little bit to kind of figure out how to do that. And I work with other districts as well, and we're going to all have to put our heads together. And I think really there are students who would benefit from just having a space where there is great internet in our schools. We have really good internet for them to come in, but that they would not necessarily be taught by the classroom teacher. It's just what they're calling learning hubs could be different from school to school. We have not thought about that yet. We haven't put anything in place yet, but the fact that they've given us guidance helps us kind of start thinking about what would be the best way to utilize that for very small groups of students, cohorts, where you are not mixing students and staff, and they all stay with the same group.
It sounds like...
And I want to be real clear that I'm not saying we're going to start this tomorrow. It's going to take us a little bit of time to figure out how to do this.
It sounds like that might be beneficial for some of the special ed students.
Yeah. So the issue is that it is very clear from the state and the county that it is not to teach students while they're there. So you're basically just providing a space for them to do what they would have done at home on distance learning.
Gotcha.
So it's really not the same as when we were at one point really planning and hoping to be able to have our students in special day class actually come back in person to be taught and actually be there. They're not allowing us to do that yet.
Okay. Have you heard anything about where the county is on that the watch list? Because I hear some of the other counties are coming off. Are we anywhere nearer being off that watch list?
I don't know. It's something that they monitor very well. I do hear statewide that the rate of hospitalization has stabled or declined, and the number of positive cases. But there's a lot that they consider, and I think at some point there were some issues around reporting with different organizations, so that's why it's taken so long. But I'd say the best source for anybody to check on that would be the county public health department. They have a lot of great information on their website as well.
Gotcha. What is the feeling you're getting from the teachers who are working from home? What's the feedback, and what are some of the, I guess maybe the difficulties or things that are easier?
Our teachers have worked really hard over the summer to plan. They also have ongoing training. So some of the challenges are, this is all new, but I can tell you they're very, very happy to have students back. They have planned lessons. I think they really appreciated having the first 7 days to just kind of connect with kids, have social emotional lessons, and also assess them. Some of the assessments, I'm sure, took longer than we had imagined. So it was really a great plan to have that time for them to get to know the students and know where they are, because if you remember, we stopped in-person instruction in March, and we had distance learning, and then there was summer. So there are learning gaps that need to be addressed. And then now they've started synchronous in-person teaching, and then I've heard positive comments from staff, but also from families and from students. I also know that, the technology piece for students is a struggle. I also heard from some of our schools that they have had students they've been trying to get a hold of. Not a whole lot, but some students that they haven't had much luck getting a hold of. Parents, maybe families have moved, and those kinds of things. At the beginning of every year we have that, but probably more so this year, for all school districts. So we'll just keep trying to reach out to families. One of the things that we are required to do by education code and what was the assembly bill that was passed is to make sure that we check in with students and that there is live instruction every day and there is engagement that happens with students that we have to document. So there's a lot of work to be done and then if someone is not responding, there are procedures in place for us to reach out to them and make sure that we re-engage them back in to school.
There are no more questions that are coming in, and I don't have any more questions. If there's anyone listening that has a question,
well,
or if there's something else that you wanted,
you.
if there's something else that you wanted to cover, feel free. I appreciate you coming onto the show and sharing so much information with the community.
Absolutely. I honestly, I appreciate the flexibility. I understand and recognize that, nothing replaces having students in class. And I can tell you that I'm not alone. Our administrators and our teachers would love to have students in their class. This is new to everybody. And again, I know that there were questions around, questions about special education. As I said, I would say distance learning is a lot more difficult for students with special needs. And we just want to do the best we can. And please let us know if there are any questions or any concerns. Let the principal know. We're working as hard. Everybody's working as hard as they can to respond. I appreciate the students. Once in a while, I see them out in the street, but they're being great. Kids need. This is really hard on families. It's hard on staff. It's very hard on children.
Yeah.
And I think right before we started our conversation, you were talking about how grateful you are about the first responders, and I mean. Last year about this time, we had no idea we were going to be dealing with. And right now with the fires, in addition to COVID, there's a lot on people's minds. And I think if I can just ask everybody, including myself and all of us, kind of thinking about how we can kind of take a step back when we get upset about something and just being gracious and showing kindness and compassion towards others.
Well said.
Their families are dealing with a lot.
Well said.
Thank you.
There's a lot of people with a lot on our plates, their plates at this time, and it is just, it's nothing I think any of us have ever seen or dealt with. I would have never thought that schools would be doing distance learning as they are. And let me add a tip of the cap and a salute to you and all the teachers out there who are doing their best with, this is all new, we're breaking new ground here, and it is, and leading up to that, Dina said she wanted to thank the classified staff at the district office who have been back since 6/8 and those who worked in the office throughout the shelter in place. And you never really left, did you?
No, we never left. No, none of us really left. I have to say, I think so much happens behind the scenes that people may not know. Like, honestly, our purchasing, our child nutrition, our accounting, our business, special, everybody has been working. And right now, every school office is open. They've had to go through registration and moving kids around. And I mean, it's a lot that people have done. And I think sometimes when we just kind of focus on one part, our school district includes teachers, classified members, and, secretaries, custodians have worked all summer long. Bus drivers, every single individual in our school district is committed to doing the best they can. And I think, in addition to what they're doing, everyone's dealing with all sorts of stuff that everyone else is dealing with their own children, their own unique circumstances, COVID, fire. So I am just more than just so deeply just have such gratitude for every single one of our employees and colleagues. And I have to say, our governing board has had a tough job.
Yeah.
I don't think when you become a board member that
you would expect to make these choices.
And to make such difficult decisions. And, you're always going to make decisions hoping that that's the best decision, and knowing that with the information you have, you're making the best decision. But you always know not everybody may agree with you, and we just have to. I'm so grateful to have such an amazing governing board as well.
Yeah, a lot of good people, and I know all of the district administrative team. I know you had mentioned this before. You guys worked countless hours on trying to make the most of a situation that is not desirable, and I tip my cap to you guys. It's not a job a task I would want to undertake. So
I have to say though, I love we all love our jobs. I love doing what I'm doing, but that's because I work with just such incredible folks, just people who are doing this work because they love children. And for example, our site administrators really honestly never left. They have been working every day to prepare for school to come back. So I'm grateful, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And I want to thank all the families and parents who actually sent you questions. I appreciate it, and I hope that we can always continue to do a good job to support our students. So thank you.
Thank you so much for coming back. And anytime that there is something that people need to know, feel free to use me as our page as a means to get that message out. I really appreciate your time and your expertise. And with that said, I think we've done another one that is informative to people. Thank you so much for your time, Superintendent.
Thank you.
Take care now.
Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, with that said, thank you again to Superintendent Ahmadi. Thank you to everyone who tuned in and listened. Thank you to everyone who posted questions. Got a couple more minutes here. The same thing I say every episode, and this kind of harks back to what the superintendent said. Be kind to yourself, be kind to your neighbors. Like the superintendent said, this is just really an incredible, trying time for everyone. We all have a lot on our plates, and a little bit of kindness goes a very long way. Love your neighbors, love yourself, especially if you have a senior citizen in your family or in your neighborhood. Give them a shout out, give them a call, knock on their door, flag them down if you see them in the backyard working or something. Let them know you care about them, and that goes for all of your neighbors as well, but especially these the senior citizens who are more vulnerable to the disease that we're all dealing with. Be kind to each other. Be kind to your neighbors. Thank you again, Superintendent Ahmadi. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. With that said, we'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. We've got an interesting and special guest on tap for you guys. You'll probably want to check this out. A local person who's really cool. And thank you, everyone. We'll see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. And as always, when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. Stay safe, everyone. We'll see you next week.